Knowing that I'll age and die scares me, like, a lot. The fact that my time is limited leads to a lot of stress about what I should be doing to best spend it. I mean, as someone who's still relatively young, these years should be the best in my life. Right now, I'm probably better looking, stronger, and healthier than I'll ever be at any later point in my life. Also, even though I am an adult and thus no longer a seemingly endless well of potential in the same way that young children are, I'll probably never become a professional athlete, for example, because that's something you have to start preparing for at an extremely young age to have any chance at. I'm still young enough to be able to affect the course of my life in pretty significant ways. Just choosing what I'll do for a living, what I study at college, starting a new hobby, getting good at it, finding like a romantic partner, choosing whether or not I have kids, that kind of thing. Um, some of these things you might be able to start doing at older ages, but your opportunities do diminish as you get older, or at least I believe so. But if I don't take action at all, these possibilities will eventually pass me by as I become too old to start pursuing them. Aging has two meanings. The first being chronological aging, which affects basically anything you can think of. And what it means is just that the time between when something was originally created and the present moment grows longer. So, like, um, yeah, on your birthday, you celebrate the fact that you've chronologically aged 1 year since your last birthday. It's 1 year more since you. It's 1 year further apart from the time you were born than last year's birthday was. And the second definition of aging is biological aging, which only affects living things and is the process of degradation that all organisms go through after puberty that eventually leads to death. So, in my opinion, chronological aging is actually kind of cool since being alive for a longer time means you probably have more experience and become a more quote unquote complete person in a way. Biological aging, on the other hand, is wholly negative and is probably going to be the worst thing to happen in my life as someone who was born middle class, healthy in a rich Western country. In our modern day reality, these two concepts of aging basically mean the same thing, because aging chronologically always brings with it aging biologically as well. For me, the biggest cope for biological aging is dreaming of some sort of transhumanist future where aging has been cured by science and humans basically live forever until they die in an accident or succumb to some non-aging related disease, which, obviously, even if you didn't age, you'd probably eventually die to something like that. You wouldn't just live for billions of years, since that's kind of impossible, like statistically. While this sort of future might be possible in theory, there's no reason beyond wishful thinking to believe that anything like it will ever happen within my lifetime in a way that would allow me personally to escape aging. One big problem with this line of thinking is that in the event that a cure for aging is discovered, it might only be available to rich people, at least temporarily, since the demand would obviously be very high, and if it's even a little bit hard to manufacture, there probably wouldn't be enough for everybody, at least in the beginning. This means that in order to capitalize on the treatment, I'd have to be somewhat wealthy myself, which doesn't seem likely the way my life is going right now. Another big problem is that since I spend all this time dreaming about a future where scientists are able to create an amazing technology that basically saves everyone from death, I begin to feel like I'm personally not doing enough. Like I should give up on my fairly relaxed life as a bit of a loser just living with my parents not doing much of anything. In order to become sort of anti-aging researcher or public advocate or anything else that would help this stuff come to fruition really, which is probably not, which would probably be hard and nowhere near as like, which would just be hard basically, and not something I'm willing to do. Um, My life situation might be a big part of why aging scares me so much. Since I feel like living the way I am, I'm basically wasting my time. I mean, I'm not really accomplishing much of anything, and time as an aging human being is a pretty limited and valuable resource. Although at the end of the day, no matter how well I spent my life, I don't think I'd ever really be okay with dying because I'd always want to keep on living and experiencing new things. I don't think I'll ever, no matter how old I get, be able to come to terms with like my own mortality. That'll always be something I'm scared of, no matter what. The only situation where I might actually be okay with dying is if because of some injury or disease I find myself in a state of unrelenting and excruciating pain, and the only way to stop that would be killing myself. All of this is why, when I see an old person on the street, I feel sorry for them and afraid for myself.